Hello, this is Jill from Paper Daisy Crafting. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is our project for today. I hope you're all well and coping with the weather wherever you are. I hear that it's been very wet and cold in Australia. In England it's been very, very hot and dry, and then all of a sudden we had real torrential downpours, one extreme to the other, honestly. And Lord knows what the winter is going to bring, but hey ho, I just stay cooped up in my craft room and stay away from it all. Anyway, this is our project for today. I brought you this card at the weekend. Before I go any further, I need to credit the person who designed it. It was Gail Ellis from Blue Rose Paper Treasures. I've almost completely cased her card. I changed a few little bits, but if you look at her card, you'll see that my inspiration was totally from her. I was feeling very mojo-less when I needed to make a card for our Inspire Ink blog hop, and our inspiration was a tic-tac-toe grid, or a noughts and crosses grid as we call it in the UK, and I chose the 3 items from the grid: floral, which are my flowers, pattern paper, which is here, and thank you, and I used the thank you from the same set as these flowers. So today I'm going to recreate this card, but using I'm just going to change it up a little bit, not very much, just the colours and a couple of other things, but yeah, I'm going to show you how I made it. So we're going to start off with the card blank. Leave that there so that you can see it. Card blank that measures 15 by 10.5 centimetres, and then a panel that is just, it's going to be 3mm smaller on each side, so you're going to need to cut it 6mm smaller than your original card blank, so that's 14.4 by 9.9 centimetres. If you don't like those measurements, then round them up to 14.5 by 10. It won't really matter, it's just half a millimetre. I just quite like that slightly but wider border. Right, and what we're going to do first is we're going to use our blending brushes on this background. So I'm going to use polished pink today. So here's my polished pink pad, and here's my blending brush, and I'm just going to take some ink and I'm going to check on here, so I don't want it to be too dramatic, so just take the most of the ink off and then come in, and we're doing corner to corner, and we don't need very much colour on here, and in fact that's almost enough. In fact, I think that is enough, just one time, so you can see how effective these blending brushes are. I think that's enough on there. Yeah, I think that is enough. I'm going to leave it at that. And then we need to do some work with our cut and emboss machine. So I'm going to get rid of my grid paper, because my cut and emboss paper machine makes that slide all over the place. And I'm going to use my big machine today, which is fab. And I'm going to take all the plates, but we don't need all of these. So for the embossing folder that I'm going to use, which is Tasteful Textures, which has actually Tasteful Textile 3D, I'm sorry, has actually retired, but you could use any sort of general, you know, any sort of fairly plain textured embossing folder instead. And it tells me on here that with 3D embossing folders I'm going to use plate 1 and plate 4. So this is plate 1, and then I need plate 4, which is this grey one, and I'm just going to put that through like so. So just goes through like that, pop that on top, try and have the hinge towards where you're cutting so that it stays in place really and doesn't dislodge or twist it, and that just gives a really nice texture. Love this embossing folder, really sad that it's retired there. Okay, but like I say, you could use any of the embossing folders in your stash, you don't necessarily need that one. Right, then what else are we going to use our embossing machine for? Right, first of all, cut and emboss. First of all, we're going to cut this die. Now this die is from the Scalloped Contours dies, which coordinate with the colour and contour set. So it's these dies there and there. These are lovely backgrounds. These are really, so they don't really, those two coordinate with the flowers, but apart from that they're sort of standalone dies really. And this border, this sort of chunky scallop border, is really nice. So we are going to cut that one out in polished pink. I've already mounted it with a little bit of washi tape onto my powder pink, and this time you need the white one, which is number 2, I think, and then 2 3s. So you need number 1, number 2 and 2 3s to push it through the machine, and it will go through fairly easily, like so. And we'll deal with that in a minute. I'll cut that off in a minute when we come to it. But while we're here, we also need to cut a border. Where's my card gone? Here it is. Let me show you. We need a border here. This is a hexagon die, and this is from the Beautiful Shapes dies. This is a really lovely set. I love this set. You've got some circles, got some hexagons, some little hexagons, and some diamonds and triangles, and then these two, which are these two and this bigger circle have got some embossing on them. So when you cut them out, you get an embossed sort of rough, sort of scribbled edge as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this out of our silver foil. This is part of our 12 by 12 silver foil, which is actually a free item if you spend £45 during celebration. So only a few more days. You've got another 11 days to do that. No, 10 days to do that, if you want to get that pack free. So I bought the silver foil. I got the silver foil as one of my free celebration items. So you might want to do that. It's 3 different shades of silver. In fact, one of them is almost grey, I would say, rather than silver. Right, now the other thing that we want to do, let's just put this down. Still got a bit of that's not going to be big enough. I need a piece of card to stamp on. Just let me get a piece of card. That'll do. Yeah, some of the silver, you get 1 sheet of this silver foil, and then the other 2 are sort of darker shades. One's textured, but they actually look really nice together. Now for the message on this card, on this one, like I said, I used the that's not my card. Here it is. I used the message that was from the same stamp set, so it's Flowers of Friendship we're using, and I used little card, big thanks, because it had to be a thank you card for the blog hop. But today it doesn't need to be a thank you card. So I'm going to use this one, which is a message from Bottled Happiness. And I'm just going to use that, sending a little message, because then it can be a birthday, it can be a thank you, it can just be saying hello. It just makes the card a bit more user-friendly for whatever you want to use it for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp that on here in Memento. There we go. And then I'm going to take the hexagon that is smaller than the one that I did for the silver border, the next one down. I'm going to line that up, get a bit of washi tape to just hold that in place. Make sure it's straight. I'm going to trim that off and pop that through the embossing machine again. Oh, let's get that out of the way. Plates are all scattered. There, just pop that through. Of course, this would go through on your mini cut and emboss if you wanted it to. It's only the embossing folder that needed this. Our standard embossing folders won't go through our mini cut and emboss. There are some that are smaller that will, but that one wouldn't. Right, okay, so got all the elements that we need. The other element that we need is a little bit of patterned paper, which is from the family stack, and this was Balmy Blue from the Subtles pack. But today I'm going to use a different pattern from the 21 to 23 in colours, and I'm just going to cut a little strip of that, and I can tell you how wide it's going to be because I can measure. It's going to be 2 centimetres. So I'll just bring my trimmer in and trim that. My trimmer. Oh, crash. Oh, can you hear all that crashing behind me? There we go. So just a little bit of DSP. That's all I need. And then we can start putting this together. So we've got our panel, we've got our border. So let's just remove this. Trim that off. Such a lovely border, and it's it's not exactly stitched, it's dotted, it's just got that edge. It's really, really lovely. And so this is going to be glued near the bottom of our panel, like so. Overlaps a bit, but we can trim that off later. So a little bit of Tombow on there. So, and this would make a nice basis for any card really, no matter what you did on top of this pattern. So this is quite a good basis for a card. So I might sort of add this to my portfolio to use and do something different with it. But today I'm just going to use the same as we did, obviously. And then this is going to go on top there. Okay, so a little bit of scallop and a little bit of DSP, and then we'll be ready to go with the flowers. Oops. Just spread this out. Just, these are cocktail sticks or toothpicks as you call them in the USA, if that's where you're watching. Right, and overlap the scallop and then just trim that, and then that can just trim down. And yes, I had started it on that side, so I've got the video was interrupted when I started on that side, so I started it again on this side. Right, okay, so where's our card blank? Our card blank is here, so that is just going to mount onto there. So let's do that. I love the subtle look of the blending when you don't feel as if you've put very much colour on, but actually it makes such a difference to your card if you can do that. Our blending brushes, they're really soft, really lovely. I would say they're probably an essential in your card making stash if you don't already have them. There. Right, so you can see we've now got the basis of our card. Here we used balmy blue, there we've used polished pink. Right, now we need to cut out these flowers. So, piece of cardstock. We've got our large flower, which I hope is going to fit on here, but maybe not. I might use this instead. I don't think it's quite going to fit on that strip. So we need one of our large flower. And I'm going to trim that down. I'm going to colour these before we try and punching them out, but you just need to think about placement. So, right, I'm going to do the other two. I need two more little ones, but I'm going to do them in a minute after I've punched. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour the big one with polished pink blends. So I'm going to come in with the light polished pink first of all. Looking quite fluorescent at the minute. I hope this is not going to be quite so leery when it dries. There we are. I'm going to go over the middle as well. And then I'm going to come in with the dark polished pink. Just making sure that is, yeah, it's polished pink. They're not quite as close a colour match as some of the blends, I have to say. But I guess it's quite difficult to get them to match. But it is one of the best things about Stampin' Up, how everything coordinates. Right, and then I'm just going to come back and just blend that in. So those colours will blend. And then we just need the punch to punch that out. Whichever way I do it, I never get it quite right. So there we go. Right way round. There we go. And punch. That's one of our flowers. And then, actually, I'm looking at it against the other flowers. It does look okay. Right, I'm then going to come in with fresh freesia, and I'm going to do two in fresh freesia, which I did use for the other card. They were two fresh freesias. So I'm going to do... This is the light fresh freesia blend. Colour the whole flower. And then again, come in with the dark. come in with the dark and just do this centerpiece in the dark colour. Just give you a bit of a two-tone effect, which is quite pretty. And then I'm going to, and the reason I'm doing it separately is because this punch, it won't just punch out the flower, it will punch out leaves and things, and so if you do them all together you might find that you've coloured it and then it gets chopped by the punch. So I'm just doing them one at a time. So I need another one like that. Do it at this end. And same routine. And if you're doing this at home, I would just leave it a minute longer for the pet memento to dry, because you may find it bleeds slightly. It's okay, but just to be on the safe side, just leave it a little bit longer before you colour. Obviously I can't do that on the video unless I stamp before I come on camera, but if you can allow a little bit more time, I would, especially if you're doing light colours, which is going to show if it bleeds. Right, okay, so there's this one, and then we just need one more. So let's just stamp one more, and this one we're going to do in Highland Heather. So we've got 3 colours here: Highland Heather, Fresh Freesia and Polished Pink. And I'm lucky enough to have the blends in all colours, but of course if you haven't got all the colours it doesn't really matter, you can use what you've got. I have to say I've had most of my blends since they first came out, and apart from a couple which I ruined by colouring on glimmer paper and the tips have gone all fluffy and horrible, they have lasted all this time. This is Highland Heather, is one of the ones I had first, and you can see there's still plenty of ink in it, so you don't need to worry too much about, I mean they are a big expense, I realise that, but they do last forever. And then that one, just going to punch that out, and then we're ready to start putting this all together. There we go. Oh, it moved. There we go. There we go. Right, just get rid of all the bits. There's our flowers and our card blank. So I'm just going to take a little bit of foam that I just happen to have here, and an embossing tool that has got a really large ball on it, and just use that in the centre of these flowers so that it gets the flower. Now you could use scissors to do this, or your bone folder if you've got it. So just want to bend the petals up a little bit so that you get a little bit of 3D, and then we're just going to arrange them. Right, so what we're going to do first of all is we're going to do our message. So this was our message, and this was our base for it. So I'm going to use a little bit of tear and tape to adhere here. I'm never quite sure. Just going to take my bone folder and go around the edges here. Just some of those edges don't look quite right, and that will just iron them out like that. That's better. I'm going to use a little bit of tear and tape, just because I don't like using glue with foil, because I think it's very non-porous, and I think once the glue dries I don't think you get that secure join. Although I know people do use glue with foil and it doesn't have any problems, but I quite like to use tear and tape with it because it's a more reliable adhesive for this, I think. Right, just take the backing off here. Like so. And then just position. The only trouble with using tear and tape is you won't get a second chance. So once you put it down, you're committed. So you just need to make sure, sorry if my head's in the way, but I just want to make sure that's in the right place before I finally stick it down. Right, and then I'm going to centre that. I'm going to put that, not quite centre it, on the card there. So now you can use Tombow because again we're back to porous cardstock, which is fine. Get rid of some of this rubbish. I start all these projects with my desk really tidy, and you've never seen such. You can't see it because you can only see this bit, but my desk ends up a complete mess. It takes me ages to tidy up afterwards. Right, okay, so that's going there. Maybe just a little bit further over there. Okay, and then we are going to glue the flowers down. So I'm going to put one fresh freesia here. I'm only going to glue the part that's going to touch the card at the moment, like so. This one. I'm not liking this colour combination as much as the one that Gail used, but I'm quite liking it. Pink and purple, I think, make quite a good combination. So just positioning these in a little cluster around here, and then you'll be pleased to know I've already stamped and die cut the foliage I'm going to use, and these came from the Christmas banners set. So I've used these these stamps and then the coordinating dies to die cut them out. And I did these when I did the last cards, and I had them left over, so I thought I might as well use them today rather than cutting more, and also make the video a bit less long there. So we're going to just put these. So again, I'm not sticking them completely down, just the bases, so that when you do the card, you can just flick them up and get a little bit more dimension. I'm going to use this one. Where's that going to go? I wonder if I can turn that a little bit. There we go. Just a bit more. Still turnable, because I want that to tuck under there like that. So that's going to go under there. So the joy of using Tombow is you get quite a lot of wiggle room, even though it dries. If you spread it out, it dries quite quickly, but otherwise. Right, this is one of the dies, but I've cut it down already, and I'm just going to tuck that into there. So yeah, depending on the positioning of your flowers and things, you can position your leaves wherever you like. I like the fact that that overlaps a little bit there. Let's use this one. This one's going to go down here like that. Loving this. Oh, glue on the end. Didn't mean to do that, but never mind, it won't matter. And then the last bit, I'm just going to cut this down slightly. And pop that in there. And then the only thing left to do is to add some little pearls to our card. So let's find my pearls. Here they are. And we're going to put a big one oops, doesn't want to come inside there. We'll do medium ones inside all this, the smaller flowers. Very quick and easy to do because they're self-adhesive. And then just 3 little ones scattered around. Always work in 3s because it just is much more pleasing to the eye. So we're going to do that one down there. And we are done. So move everything out of the way. That is our card. I hope you like it. That's quite nice. I quite like that colour scheme, but if push came to shove, I think I would prefer this one. But that's our card for today. Hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you might give it a go. Thanks very much for watching. Everything I've used will be listed below, so you can just click through on the links to see them in my shop. Don't forget to use my host code if you are shopping with me. It's on my blog. I can just tell you it is GFEJ PWUJ, and I can then send you a little product gift next month. Sometimes a little sample pack of something. Depends how many orders I get and how much I manage to accrue on the code, but there will always be something extra, and you don't get that with other companies, do you? Anyway, that's it from me today. Have a great day, and I'll be back really soon with another video for you. Bye for now. Bye.